Wonderful. That, my friends, is how you shuck an oyster, a Louisiana oyster. Looking from my hotel room window in Midtown Atlanta, I think that's where I am. I can see in the distance Stone Mountain. You see it right there? It's a good half-hour drive from here, and I'm going to go check it out. It's got the world's largest relief carving, I believe the largest in the world. And I'm going to climb up this backside here, all the way up to the top. It should be a good hike. Let's go check that out.
Exit right to exit 8, Stone Mountain Park entrance.
Getting ready for the 4th of July. So this is the world's largest relief carving. It's a Confederate memorial carving. It was carved when I was about 10 years old in 1972. Isn't that something? And there's a funicular or sky ride that goes up over here. You can't really see it. It goes up over it. Must be pretty impressive, but I'm not going to take the ride because I don't have the time. This is a walking path on Stone Mountain. Look at it. All stone. That is some old graffiti right there, 1879. Wow. Okay. Houses of the Holy. I did not know what I was looking at. I guess this is a rubber tree, right? Ah. H. Schneider, 1900. So came rested he by the tum-tum tree and stood a while in thought. I was just congratulated by that adorable little man right there. He walked up to me and said, "Congratulations, you're almost to the top where you can rest." He said, "And you can get change for the telescope." There's Atlanta. And my oh, there's Atlanta. And I'm in Midtown, which I think is right there. That's that metropolitan area. And I can see this rock from my window in my hotel. It is a giant rock. I am directly over the carving right here, just down there. That's where I was filming earlier. Some people, the climb is not enough. Come all the way up here and then work out. Amazing. Impressive. Okay, I have arrived at base camp, and as usual, I have no idea where to go. I've got to find wardrobe. Oh, I'm home. All right. Did my makeup and hair. Now it's time to get ready to wait. Okay, I am back in the comfort of my own home, and I'm very glad to be back. And I'm going to tie up some loose ends. A couple of things that I didn't talk about. One, briefly, let me say, I cut short the video. I edited a lot of the video about the film project that I was working on when I was there, but simply because you don't want to spoil, as an actor, you definitely don't want to spoil projects. And I played a very small role in this, and far be it from me to screw it up for people who have a lot invested. Yeah, small-time actor in the big Hollywood world could do some damage, and I didn't want to do that. So I'll release that. If it might be fun for some people. I go into some detail about the experience of being an actor on set and whatever. So I'll release that later when that show comes out. But the other thing is obviously the monument. I didn't say anything. I went to this national park that houses this monument, and it is a Civil War monument depicting is a portrait of some Confederate leaders. Okay, so let me touch on that. And there's a lot of animus surrounding this, especially of late because of the George Floyd debacle. Now, let me see if I can unpack some of this. I'm not an educated man at all. I have a modicum of intelligence, which helps me to sort through some of this. But and hopefully I can express some of that here. But I'm not educated. I'm not a historian. But let me tell you my thoughts on this. I went to visit what is a piece of history, and to me, history is very important. Just like, say, if you go to Germany and you visit a concentration camp where millions of Jews were killed, their lives were taken by bad people, by criminals. We don't erase that. We remember that. We write about it, we talk about it, we visit it, because those who do not know history are what? Destined to repeat it. Listen to me. I didn't make that up, but listen to the words. Those who do not understand or know their history are destined to repeat it. That's why we keep history. That's why we have museums. We don't go and tear down churches because we're not of the same faith, or mosques, or things, or any of these archaic institutions. We record them. We hold on to those things, and we look at them, and we remember them. That's history, okay? So I went to this monument, which took a very long time from concept to completion, and a lot of money and resources and time. And it is an historical monument, nothing more, nothing less. And the people over decades and decades who went to visit it, of all colors, saw it as such because they were reasoning. We were logical back then. We said, okay, this was then, this is now. I'm witnessing the past. It's done. We're not in that same civil war. Yes, we're having a civil war, but it's different. It's informational. It's on computers and podiums. That was then, this is now. It's a monument. It's a relic of the past. Let it be. It's not important to me for any political reason. It's important to me because it's history. Not even that. History isn't even that important to lose your life over. But let's be rational. So I went up there to visit, while I was in the vicinity, a thing that I have never seen, which is the largest relief stone carving in the world. I think that's pretty spectacular. If I were in the vicinity of Auschwitz, I would go and visit it. People died there. Their lives were ended. We don't burn our books. We don't tear down. Rational, logical, thoughtful people don't, anyway. Irrational, hysterical people who are brainwashed and caught up in narratives do that. Hitler had people doing that. Oh, God, I hate to bring that stuff. Everybody says Nazi, 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 racist, racist, racist. Yes, a lot of you will say I'm a racist just because I'm a white man who is discussing a narrative and disagreeing with a narrative that our young are being brainwashed with. Our babies are being taught to hate themselves because of the color of their skin, and nowadays because they're white, just like they used to be taught this because they were black. It just goes back and forth, and no one corners a market on hatred. There are good people, there are bad people. We all have the same DNA, this very similar. Come on, man, we're humans, and we are good and bad regardless of the color of our skin. So that monument, if you don't know anything about the Civil War, I have a basic knowledge of it, and some knowledge of memory of my fundamental history as a child. It was fought between the North and the South. Now, if you believe that roughly 250,000 young Southern men went out and died on the battlefield of disease and mortal wounds and having their arms blown off by cannonballs and all this horror of war, if you believe they suffered that because they all hated black people, you're a little simple. Your mind is a little simple. It wasn't that simple. 250,000 young men, like a lot of these kids were kids. They were like 17, 20-year-old kids. They these kids were not all slave owners and plantation owners. What kind of simpleton believes that? They were kids that lived on farms and knew about growing tobacco and corn and things like that. And they were told to go fight for the interests of political interests of their community, of their region, of their country. It was all, yes, we had a Republican president, President Abraham Lincoln, who brought about abolition of slavery during these times, but it wasn't just that. It was a war about politics and taxes and territories and stuff the historians can explain to you unless they've burned those books already, and unless they're feeding you a made-up narrative of the way things were. But anyway, what has come of late is a lot of animosity precipitated by the death of George Floyd. Now, let's be factual. George Floyd was a bad person. He's not a hero. He's a martyr for many and a hero for many, but to a logical, rational person, he was a bad, bad criminal. He held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly after invading her home and basically saying, "I'll kill you and your baby," with a gunshot wound to the belly, ripping through your organs and your spine, and you'll lie dead and bleeding on the floor if you don't give me everything. That's not a martyr. That's not a hero. That's a horrible person. I don't care if you call me racist, because I know the difference between right and wrong and good and bad. A beautiful hummingbird over there reminding me to be more sedate. But the cop that kneeled on his neck, do you think that I think that's good? No. Most logical, rational people, again, know the difference. That's a bad thing. That is a bad person. That is a criminal act. I saw it. Of course, I know he murdered him. You don't kneel on a man's neck who's in handcuffs and struggling to breathe for 9 minutes or what have you, and kill him and have people believe you're a good person. Everybody knows that that was a criminal. They were both criminals. Bad guy, bad choices. Bad guy, bad choices. All right? So now the monument is different because of that? No, it's a piece of history. This is just my take on it. I think we all need to take the, what do they say, 4-second breath in, 8 seconds out. Relax. Be one of the good people. Be one of the logical people. Don't get caught up in this craziness. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. And I don't like that I feel that I even have to talk about it. But there you go. I know a lot of people are like, wow, man, you just visited this controversial thing and you didn't even talk about it. So it's because I'm tired of being looked at as, a middle-aged white guy, and well, you got to be racist, right? It's ridiculous. So I went to Atlanta, and I experienced what I would expect to experience. There were a lot of black people there. A lot of them were very kind and loving and generous and genuine, and some of them were not happy to see me. That's what you expect, whether you're white or black. You're a black guy and you go in a white neighborhood, some of the people are not going to be happy to see you, and most of the people are good. That's the way life is. Most people are good. I like to think that. I encountered a black cop who was not happy to see me. I got lost trying to find a filming location, and my navigation brought me to a post office. Just then, a black cop pulls in, and I walked over to his car, and he looked very concerned and very unhappy, and he peered at me, he glared at me through his window as I approached. And I said, yeah, I'm looking for a filming location. Have you seen any filming happening here? No. That's all he said. I said, nobody, you haven't seen any movie studios or anything? No. And I walked away and I got in my truck and I found another navigation tool, took me 2 blocks away, and there was the studio heading down in the valley a little bit. Doesn't mean all black people are racist. It just means some people are not as friendly as others. Some white guys, some black guys, etc., etc., etc. Slavery existed, my friends, and it still exists today. It exists and existed all over the world. You can get a really, really high price for little white kids in countries where there's brown-skinned people, and vice versa. Slavery still exists in Africa and always has. Who do you think? Let's not get into it. The transatlantic slave thing. Well, if you were in the modern educational environment, you're taught basically just as long as you know white people are bad, you know everything you need to know. It's not that simple. Come on, let's at least be logical and not be patronized and brainwashed. Who do you think sold the slaves to the Spanish who brought them to America? The Africans. They captured each other and handed them over to the Spaniards or and whoever was in the slave trade and trading that commodity. A horrible thing. There were just white people were very successful at it. White and Spaniards were very good at that stuff. Everybody, they were not as civilized in some countries, but they weren't staying out of the slave trade. They didn't have the big boats. They didn't have the guns. They just bludgeoned each other, threw nets on each other, and sold each other or kept each other. That's life. We all have the same DNA. Carl Sagan said we're all stardust, right? We're all the same. So anyway, God, that's a lot to unpack. And I don't like it any more than you do. It's not fun. So let's take those deep breaths in, let them out slowly. Let's learn to look for the goodness in all things and people, okay? And thank you for watching, and there you go. There's the rest of the story. All right, more soon. Some more. So what do you think you roast a day? Sometimes
lately
20 pounds?
a lot. Yeah. 20 pounds probably.
Yeah.
We're ramping up slowly, but actually the last couple weeks it's been getting busy, so love it.
You're a busy girl.
Smells like coffee everywhere around here.
I love Banshee Moon coffee.
Me too.
Drink it every morning.
And it smells so good. I bring it to the post office and they're like, what smells so good? My packages.
And where do you get it?
Etsy.com/shop/Banshee Moon.
And what does it make a good gift for?
Christmas, birthdays, Father's Day, Mother's Day.
Oh,
Yeah.
good thinking.
Flag Day.
President's Day.
Veterans Day.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.